In this video, we're going to take a look at a black ink by Noodler's Texas Black Bat. As always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also, down in the description is a link to all of the black inks that have been reviewed here, so if you want to take a look at more, you can see that there. I'm an ink guy, and let's get into the first writing sample, 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen or shade and 15 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub. No feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 34 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation. We're not expecting it and we're not getting it. And the smear test, you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Platinum 3776 with a soft fine nib was inked up, used for day, and used to take the notes for this video. The next writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade and 36 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, 58 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it, and we cannot recover it if you smear while you're writing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down and then it's put in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we do see a line forming at the bottom very immediately and the rest of this pushing up. Interesting to me is that it is just a black dye. There's not a mix making this as dark as it appears. The one on the right is let dry for 10 minutes before it's dunked into water. And we see the line that's formed at the bottom is much darker, much more of it is right there. And then just some of that ink is pushing up. It does tell us that we can expect a lot of resistance with this ink. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. No bleeding and no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is the same tone as that stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 21 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 29 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation, and there is none. And the smear test, you probably could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. I say probably because the extra fine looks okay, the medium not so okay. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, I am surprised that it did so poorly. Really. There's a lot of blowout that is occurring and the highlighter gets kind of muddy looking. I wouldn't use it in a note-taking situation if I needed to go back and highlight. Water, this is one of the reasons that I'm very surprised. It had no effect. It did absolutely nothing. Pen flush, nothing. Meant nothing to it. 1/3 bleach solution is only starting to break it down, but it is really, really bonded with this paper. Now, while this is troublesome here, the good news is in my pen, it only took water to get this out of the pen. The next writing sample is done on Leuchtturm 1917 paper. We have no bleeding and no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 19 seconds to dry. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 31 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show no color variation and we're not getting it, and the smear test you could not recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity is 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Noodler's Texas Black Bat has a viscosity of 1.7, making this a very wet ink. If you're interested in how the viscosity and all that's done, then there's a link to that video down in the description. The next writing sample is done on 28-pound copy paper. Now we have no bleeding, but we do have some ghosting that's going on, very minor ghosting. Nothing to stop you from using the back of the page. The medium has minor feathering in the word black and in the word Texas in the end of Noodler's. No spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the medium. It has no feathering, no spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 1 second to dry. Scrubby shows no color variation. We're not getting it. In a smear test, you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Noodler's Texas Black Bat has an average dry time of 32 seconds, meaning this takes quite a while to really dry, but when it does, it is bonded with the paper very well. The last writing sample is done on 20-pound copy paper. Now for all of this deep bleeding in, it is not bleeding through. So it does not touch the page underneath, but you cannot use the back of this paper. The medium has a ton of feathering all over it. It's spread to about a broad. It has no halo, sheen, or shade. The extra fine has feathering on it a lot, like in brown, feathering, quick, feathering, jumps, feathering, the feathering. It's all tiny feathering all over it. Just makes it a little bit blurry. Bats don't have feathers, but they do have fur. No halo, sheen, no shade, 1 second to dry. Scrubby shows no color variation. We didn't expect it and we didn't get it. In a smear test, you could definitely recover if you smeared while you were writing. Instead of finding inks that look like Noodler's Texas Black Bat, I'd prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I went with a magenta ink from Krishna, their Wild Cherry. Now, if you'd prefer a different complement color, then down in the description are links to those color playlists. So what do I think of Noodler's Texas Black Bat? I liked this ink until the 3776 Soft Fine showed this writing. Like a gray and having shading I don't want. It's super water resistant, which can be nice. I was hoping for better performance on cheap paper. Also left me unimpressed, but half decent paper, it really does well. So what nib and pen will give the best writing experience with this ink? You need a medium flow pen to get a good solid black line. That 3776 is a very dry pen. And being very dry and such a thin line, it really exposed that this ink does have a bit of a weakness in terms of the color you're going to get if it's dry. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video we're going to take a look at Sailor's Waka Yagusu. I know I'm killing the names.